Today we're interviewing Mr. Henry Oka, who was born in Oxnard in 1929. And I'd like to start out by asking you something about the background of your family. How did they come to live in Oxnard?
They moved from Japan to Oxnard at the turn of the century, maybe about 1897, and they first located in Santa Barbara by the airport, and they started farming there, and then I guess things got pretty rough up there, so they moved down to Oxnard. And my dad, he started a shoe repair business. And this was maybe after I was born, because I didn't remember before then. And we used to just live a life that kind of real, not good money making, but because it happened at the time of the Depression.
Could you tell us where you lived in Oxnard?
I lived at 414 Oxnard Boulevard, right in front of the Transportation Center on Oxnard Boulevard.
So was your house part of the store?
Yes, it was.
Mm-hmm. So could you talk about your brothers and sisters?
My oldest sister was born in the 1915, and she died a couple of years later during the Spanish influenza. Then my brother was born, and my sister Fumiko, and my sister Kaoru, and I was born in 1929.
So you're the youngest of the family?
Yes, I am.
Could you tell us something about your family in 1941?
They were, going about their business of running a shop. But at the time of the attack on Pearl Harbor, I was working for Chase Brothers Dairy, helping to deliver milk. And it was surprising that what I heard, I didn't pay much attention because I was a young child. And after that, went to school the next day, and the people seemed to be kind of concerned, asking questions, but I didn't know nothing about it, the attack on Pearl Harbor.
So you were 12 years old and you were delivering milk? Is that what happened?
Yes, yeah. Mm. And yeah, we was only about 2 people that did because the end of the town before you go into Colonia was the 3rd Street, I think. And then on the south side is Woolley Road.
So Oxnard was quite a bit smaller in those days.
It was about 800 people. 8,000, I believe.
People. Yeah, that's right. I had read that was true. About 8,000 people. How many people do you think were Japanese of that number?
Oh, maybe 600. They had a lot of businesses on the Oxnard Boulevard there. And most of them, when the war started, they all moved to Japan. They didn't want to get involved with what was over here.
Do you remember leaving Oxnard to go to
Yes, I do.
To Assembly Center?
Yeah.
Could you tell us something about that?
It happened in April of 1942, and we was kind of in a rush because they had ordered us to leave, evacuate. So my dad stored all his equipment because of the shoe cobbler there on Oxnard Boulevard, because Asahi's Market had a vacant building next door, and he stored all his stuff. And we left from the transportation center in Oxnard, and everybody was real sad because we had to get away from and then we went to Tulare, California, where it was a fairground, county fairground, and they set us up in horse barn, like where they put stables for the race horses, and then the floor was newly poured, like black asphalt, and then had metal cots that we slept in and straw mattresses. And then when we slept in there, because the floor was newly poured, the beds used to sink through the asphalt.
I want to go back a little bit. Do you remember going on the train to
Yes,
Tulare?
I do.
Tell us a little bit about that.
It was a long trip from Oxnard to Tulare, but with a longer trip from Tulare to Arizona, where we finally located.
Well, you must have been awfully crowded in Tulare.
It was very crowded, and there was armed guards on the train and barbed wire around Tulare, and armed guards. They really didn't. They had to look out for us and all the family members were sent to Bismarck, North Dakota. All the family head, because they thought they were part of the Black Dragon Society, which was maybe they thought we were going to espionage the country or whatever the surrounding.
Do you know people who were sent to Bismarck from Oxnard?
My dad didn't go, but there's a few others that went, and a few died over there.
When you were growing up in Oxnard, did you belong to any Japanese organizations or churches?
I belonged to the Methodist Church, and Reverend Machida had a Japanese language school for us, like the Buddhist Church has here now. And we used to participate in kendo and judo as activities.
Did you speak Japanese at home?
Tried to, because my dad and mom didn't. So it was a pretty fun time growing up.
Let's go back to Tulare. Do you remember much about being in the assembly center there?
Yes, yeah. There was about maybe 6,000 people in there. And real hectic, because we didn't know what to do. We were there under armed guard and couldn't do anything. They didn't trust us.
What did the kids do? Because you were only 12 years old. What did the kids do while they were there?
We had a pretty good softball team in Tulare, and Oxnard won the championship. And now Takasugi was a pitcher.
Really?
For the softball team, yeah.
Did you play on the team?
No, I was too young. I didn't participate. And a few of the guys from Oxnard did participate. They're pretty good.
What did your parents do in the assembly center? Did they do any work there?
No, because it's so short of time before we relocated to Gila.
And do you remember the trip to Gila?
Yeah, it's kind of the train. They didn't let us look outside, see where we're going. It was all dark. Yeah, it was a pretty miserable trip. Yeah, it took quite a while.
So nobody knew where they were going?
No.
Oh.
No.
What did you think of when you got to Arizona?
The camp wasn't quite finished yet. They had to do a lot of work in the showers and the laundry rooms and stuff, and the mess halls.
Where's your accommodations like at Gila?
Beg your pardon?
What was your housing like at Gila?
I think there was 4 sections to one barrack. And it was pretty roomy. A lot of snakes.
Snakes?
And a lot of scorpions. And
What was your room like that the family lived in?
we had to make our own partition. Because, like maybe put up mostly curtains to separate. It was maybe, I don't know how big the rooms were, but they were all generally the same size.
So your parents and 4 children were living, or 5?
4.
All living?
No, my brother was already drafted into the army. So he was gone all the time, and my 2 sisters and I were in the camp.
Could you tell us something about your classes in the school there?
Yeah, just general classes. I didn't pursue a education that's gonna take me somewhere in the future. So I guess we just kind of wanted to have fun and just associate with people.
Do you remember your teachers?
Maybe he was pretty strict, a math teacher, and I didn't get along with him. And there's a few others that weren't too bad.
Were the teachers Caucasians or
A few were.
Some
they
were.
mixed.
mixed?
Uh-huh.
So do you remember the school as being ready for you when you got there? With
In Arizona?
Yes, did they have desks and
Yeah, they were all set up in one section of the camp. And remember, we had a gymnasium already built there.
so you met a lot of people from other areas of California?
Yes, I did. Uh-huh. Santa Maria. A lot of people from Santa Maria.
How big were the classes?
This big, maybe 25 to 35.
You've brought your yearbooks from Butte High School, which included the 7th and 8th grade. I was struck by the fact that they look like every other yearbook I've ever seen, except they have pictures of the desert from here. And it was different. Was it different from being in school here?
No, it's not too different. We had classes from maybe 8:30 to 3 in the afternoon. And people had, some people who worked for transportation, they'd take us in those trucks over to school. We didn't want to walk that far.
So this was at Butte Camp. And was the school at the other end of camp, or?
No, kind of maybe southeastern part of the camp. And we had a hospital there and pretty good medical care. And a lot of people suffered valley fever.
Ah, because it was dusty?
All the big dust storms came through and they breathed this dust and they suffered from valley fever.
Some people have told me there were like knot holes in the buildings and sometimes the dust would come in. Do you remember that?
No, I don't. Yeah.
Did your parents do any work while they were in Gila?
Yes, my dad helped farming, and he used to bring home 60, 70 pound watermelon that they used to farm out there.
That's a big watermelon.
Yeah, they're big one. And cantaloupes and honeydew. And it was so hot that my dad dug a cellar and had a dirt wall, and we used to go down there and stay cool because it was so hot.
That was under the barracks?
Oh.
Oh.
A lot of people dug their own cellars like that. Other than that, I worked for a dairy. We used to take cows out to the pasture and graze. And I also worked for food distribution, which we had a big warehouse and we would distribute food to the different mess halls. And the food was pretty nourishing. Yeah, they fed us pretty good.
So actually, the mess hall workers were all Japanese. So did they serve Japanese food there?
Uh-huh,
They
yeah.
did. I also read that they grew a lot of vegetables
They
at
did.
Gila, and they were able to sell them
Yeah,
outside.
we did. Lots of cattle we had, lots of hogs, and we used to make our own butter and cheese in there.
What I was curious about, Gila's pretty hot. Where did they get the water for the vegetables, for example?
Salt River, I think. There's a river run through there. Pretty good irrigation system.
So you were in camp for 4 years.
Yes, I was.
Did your parents stay in camp that whole time?
Yes, they were.
Could you tell us something about activities you had outside of school?
Well, we had a baseball team. We used to play on the side there where we lived. We had a big field there that separated the different blocks, and we used to go to the Indian reservation, walk across the desert, and then we didn't have any swimming pool in our camp, so we had to go swim in those canals, irrigation canals. And we used to go with the Indian reservation, and they'd make good tamales. And we used to trade for tamales. And they grew real good pomegranate. It's real delicious.
How far was the the settlement, or where you would buy all these things, from the camp?
We used to walk about 4 miles across the desert and go to these reservation. Had hogans in the ground, and they had teepees above the ground.
Did you ever talk to any of the Indians that were there?
Nah, we just sign language. I guess talked to each other and negotiated food from them.
So actually, you got money for the work you did in camp. Is that right?
I remember going to pick cotton, and that was hard one day.
My goodness.
About 4 miles out of camp, they called a little town named Sacaton, and we went to pick cotton. I didn't like that at all.
I'm surprised they would be growing cotton there.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit more about, so you were in camp and you were in 8th grade, 9th grade,
Uh-huh.
and you were a freshman and a sophomore there.
Yeah.
What were you planning on doing when you got out of high school?
Nothing.
Uh,
I just didn't have, not much of an education.
You were planning on going to work then?
Yeah. I got drafted in 1950, went to Korea.
Oh my. So could you tell us something about coming back to Oxnard after the war?
It was a sad occasion, leaving your friend there. The day, maybe about a couple months after they signed the surrender, we decided to come back to Oxnard, and my dad or some friends of his were already established in the federal housing right there across from old Oxnard High School. And we moved in there when we came back. And they brought us in Greyhound buses back to Oxnard.
Did he go back to the same business?
Yeah, he tried, but the prejudice was too strong, and so he just sold his equipment to somebody else, and he tried to go into the business. I don't know how long he stayed in business after that.
Did you experience any prejudice when you came back to Oxnard yourself?
No, because all my old friends that I had before I left for camp, they remembered me, and I remember them also. And I started hanging out with them all the time.
So you came back to be, you were a junior then when you came back to Oxnard High School, is that right?
Sophomore.
Oh, you were